As an avid social media user, I loved sharing every moment of my life on Instagram. My followers enjoyed my travel photos, food posts, and daily updates. It was an escape, a place where I could curate my life and connect with people. But that changed one night when I received a peculiar message from an account named Forgotten Password. "Remember me?" the message read. I didn't recognize the username and initially thought it was a spam account. I ignored it, but the message left me feeling uneasy. There was something about it that I couldn't shake off. The next day, I received another message from the same account. "You can't escape the past." My heart skipped a beat. What did this person mean? I decided to respond, asking who they were and what they wanted. The reply came almost immediately. "You'll find out soon enough." I tried to brush it off, but the messages kept coming. They were cryptic and unsettling, mentioning things about my life that no one else should know. "I remember your old house on Maple Street. I know about the accident. Your secrets are not safe." It was as if this person had access to my deepest, darkest memories. My mind raced trying to figure out who could be behind this. I checked the account, but it was blank. No posts, no followers, no clues. As the days went on, the messages grew more threatening. "You can't hide forever. I'm coming for you." I felt like I was being watched, like my privacy had been completely invaded. Every noise in my apartment made me jump. I started sleeping with the lights on and double-checking the locks on my doors. One evening, after a particularly stressful day, I received a message that sent chills down my spine. "Look outside your window." My heart pounded as I slowly approached the window and peered out. There, in the shadows, stood a figure watching me. I screamed and backed away, my mind in a frenzy of fear and confusion. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, the figure was gone. They took my statement and promised to patrol the area, but I could tell they didn't take it seriously. I felt helpless and vulnerable. Determined to find answers, I decided to dig into my past. I went through old diaries, photo albums, and social media accounts, looking for anything that could explain these messages. That's when I remembered an old friend from high school, Mark. We had a falling out after a tragic car accident that left him badly injured. We hadn't spoken since, but I had a gut feeling he might be involved. I reached out to mutual friends and managed to get his contact information. Nervously, I called him. To my surprise, he answered. "Mark, it's me, Jessica," I said, my voice trembling. "I need to ask you something. Have you been sending me messages on Instagram?" There was a long pause before he replied. "Jessica, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't been on social media in years." His denial left me even more confused and scared. If it wasn't Mark, then who was it? I hung up, feeling more lost than ever. That night, I received another message. "Meet me at the old playground at midnight if you want to know the truth." My instincts screamed at me to ignore it, but I knew I had to face this head on. I needed answers. At midnight, I arrived at the old playground. The swings creaked in the wind, and the place was eerily quiet. I stood there waiting, my heart pounding in my chest. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a woman, her face obscured by a hood. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking. The woman lowered her hood, revealing a familiar face. It was Lisa, another friend from high school. "Lisa, why are you doing this?" I asked, confused and angry. Lisa's eyes were filled with a mix of sorrow and anger. "You forgot about me, Jessica. After the accident, everyone forgot about me. I was left to deal with the aftermath alone." I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. "I'm so sorry, Lisa. I didn't know. I should have been there for you." Lisa sighed, tears welling up in her eyes. "I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted you to remember, to not forget the people you've left behind." We talked for hours, finally clearing the air and mending our broken friendship. Lisa's messages had been a desperate cry for attention, a way to reconnect with a past that had been overshadowed by pain. I learned a valuable lesson that night about the importance of staying connected to the people who matter, about the dangers of losing touch with reality in the digital world. The messages stopped and life slowly returned to normal. But I never forgot Lisa's words and the eerie feeling of being watched. It was a reminder that behind every screen, there are real people with real emotions, and sometimes the past isn't as forgotten as we think. My life as a social media influencer was perfect, or so it seemed. Thousands of followers, brand deals, glamorous photo shoots. Everything looked amazing from the outside. But deep down, I was lonely. I craved real connection, something genuine. One day, while scrolling through my DMs, I noticed a message from an account I didn't recognize. A phantom follower. The message was simple: "I see you." I laughed it off, thinking it was a prank. I ignored it and went about my day. Over the next few days, the messages kept coming. "I see you at the cafe. I see you at the gym. I see you at home." My laughter turned to unease. How could someone be watching me so closely? I looked at the account, but it had no posts, followers, or any information about the person behind it. I decided to block the account, hoping that would be the end of it. But the next day, a new message came from a different account. "The watcher is here. You can't hide from me." A chill ran down my spine. I quickly blocked that account too. As days turned into weeks, the messages didn't stop. Every time I blocked an account, a new one would appear with the same eerie messages. I started feeling paranoid, constantly looking over my shoulder. I stopped going out as much, afraid of being watched. One night, I decided to confront the stalker. I posted a story on Instagram, addressing the mysterious messages. "To whoever is sending me these creepy messages, stop it. It's not funny. Leave me alone." Almost immediately, I received a reply: "Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th Street at midnight if you want answers." My first instinct was to ignore it, but curiosity got the better of me. I needed to know who was behind this. That night, I drove to the old warehouse, a place long abandoned and rumored to be haunted. The air was thick with tension as I stepped out of my car. I walked inside, my footsteps echoing in the empty space. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. There was no response, just the eerie silence of the warehouse. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with a new message. "I'm here." I spun around, but saw no one. The warehouse was empty, or so it seemed. My heart pounded as I walked deeper into the darkness. As I reached the center of the warehouse, I saw a figure standing in the shadows. It was a man, his face obscured by a hood. "Who are you?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. The man stepped forward, and I could see his face. He was pale, with dark circles under his eyes. "I'm someone who knows you better than you know yourself," he said, his voice cold and distant. "I've been watching you, following your every move." "Why?" I asked, my voice shaking. "What do you want from me?" The man smiled, a sinister grin that sent chills down my spine. "I want you to remember who you are, not who you pretend to be online. I want you to see the truth." Before I could respond, the lights in the warehouse flickered and went out. I screamed, stumbling in the darkness. When the lights came back on, the man was gone. I was alone. I rushed out of the warehouse, my mind racing. Who was that man? How did he know so much about me? As I drove home, I realized that my stalker had forced me to confront a truth I had been avoiding. I had lost myself in the world of social media, forgetting who I really was. The messages stopped after that night, but the experience left a lasting impression on me. I took a break from Instagram, focusing on reconnecting with my true self. The memory of the phantom follower haunted me, a constant reminder of the dangers of losing oneself in the digital world. I never found out who the man was or how he had managed to follow me so closely, but I learned to be more cautious, to value real connections over virtual ones. I've always been an Instagram addict. From the moment I wake up until I go to bed, I'm constantly scrolling, liking, and posting. It's my escape, my connection to the world. But my obsession took a dark turn when I stumbled upon the account of someone who seemed to be living my exact life. It all started when I received a follow request from an account named Perfectly Me. Curious, I accepted and began scrolling through the profile. My jaw dropped. The photos were identical to mine. Same poses, same locations, even the same outfits. It was as if someone had copied my entire life and posted it as their own. I was creeped out, but also intrigued. I sent a direct message to the account. "Who are you? Why are you copying me?" I waited, but there was no response. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling and went about my day, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. The next morning, I woke up to a new post from Perfectly Me. It was a picture of me, asleep in my bed. My heart pounded as I stared at the photo, trying to comprehend how it was possible. I looked around my room, but everything seemed normal. I checked the windows and doors, they were all locked. I immediately called my best friend Emma and told her what was happening. She came over, and we spent hours trying to figure out who could be behind the account. We checked my room for hidden cameras and even went through my phone for any signs of hacking. We found nothing. Days passed and the posts continued. Each new photo was more invasive than the last. Pictures of me at work, at the gym, even at a cafe I visited with Emma. It was as if someone was following me, capturing every moment of my life and posting it on Instagram. I started feeling paranoid, constantly looking over my shoulder and avoiding my usual hangouts. One night, I received a direct message from Perfectly Me. "Wanna meet?" My blood ran cold. I didn't know whether to ignore it or confront whoever was behind this. Emma convinced me that we needed to find out who it was. We agreed to meet the person in a public place where we felt safer. We chose a busy cafe in the city center and waited anxiously. At the agreed-upon time, a man walked in and sat down at our table. He was average-looking, with an unsettlingly calm demeanor. "Are you Perfectly Me?" I asked, my voice trembling. He smiled and nodded. "I've been watching you for a long time," he said. "You have the perfect life. I wanted to be a part of it." I felt a mix of anger and fear. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?" He leaned in, his expression turning sinister. "I want to become you, to live your life, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen." I stood up, my hands shaking. "You're sick," I said. "Stay away from me." Emma and I quickly left the cafe and reported everything to the police. They took our statements and promised to investigate, but I knew it would be hard to prove anything. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. At around 3 a.m., I heard a soft tapping on my bedroom window. My heart raced as I slowly approached and peeked through the curtains. There, standing outside, was the man from the cafe, staring at me with a twisted smile. I screamed and called the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone. They searched the area but found no trace of him. I was terrified, feeling like a prisoner in my own home. Determined to end this nightmare, I decided to delete my Instagram account. It was a painful decision, but I knew it was the only way to stop him from having access to my life. I changed my phone number, moved to a new apartment, and tried to start fresh. For a while it worked. I felt safer, though always looking over my shoulder. But one day, I received a follow request on a new social media platform I had joined. The username was different, but the profile picture was unmistakable. It was a photo of me, taken from inside my new apartment. The horror of that realization still haunts me. No matter how far I run or how well I hide, he's always there, watching, waiting for his chance to step into my life and take it over. The perfect profile was never just about pictures. It was a trap, a way for him to get closer until he could finally become me.